Hey guys, it's Tatas Tuesday, and like I said, I was holding over my Gamer's Guide to Feminism video for the week because of sensitive and potentially triggering content. And I had another story fall right in my lap. Or another body part based on this image. What you're looking at is an image from an upcoming Blizzard game called Overwatch. I think it's upcoming. I assume the game's not out yet because I would have thought I'd heard of it before. Maybe it's out. I don't know. But this character caused some controversy in the forums because a person complained that the pose was over-sexualized. And at first, some of you watching might go, okay, I'm having a reaction to this pose. This pose is inspiring funny feelings in me, but it might not be sexual. It's why is that leather strap giving her an epic case of camel toe? And this is one of these situations where things like this are best left to the professionals, because what it is it's actually a case of bad anatomy causing somebody to feel like a pose is more sexual than it is. So I have done a 15-second surgery job on this image. I went into Photoshop and removed the offending butt crack. And now we can look at this pose for what it actually is. And I don't see anything sexual about this pose. What I see is a pose designed to highlight the detail on the character's back, that blue disc. Now, artists tend to add too much detail to things, and they added anatomy stuff because reasons. And I think that atomic wedgie they put into the character was probably a step too far. But I don't think this is worth freaking out over. I think you can see now that we've removed the, thing that immediately makes Puritans freak out, we can see that the case is actually a problem of anatomy and not of sexualization. Can you see how much that upper leather strap on her right leg is cutting in? That's bad anatomy. I mean, guys, as a woman with this, anatomy, I can tell you this is not comfortable. So we're not talking about a paradigm of sexuality, sexy or non-sexy. We're talking about an issue of comfort. And I think they really need to change that camel toe from hell issue, but that involves changing the costume. I don't know if this is concept art or whether this is like in-game and rendered and just, captured. But they got to bring that strap down, because a strap like that wouldn't sit covering the butt cheek. It sits under the butt cheek. That's how those things sit. And the butt cheek was tracked so far over to the side. I'll go back to the original. It's tracked so far over to the side that is not the way a normal ass responds. That is a sarlacc pit of despair right there. But the reason I wanted to remove the sarlacc pit, for lack of a better term, I mean, it looks like Tracer here is having an issue with her Lululemons being too sheer. But I wanted to remove that offending detail so we can actually look at the pose, because the person on the forums complained about the pose, and Blizzard promised to change the pose. And I think once we remove the sarlacc pit, we remove the Grand Canyon, so to speak, we can see that there's nothing really wrong about the pose. I mean, I can't see anything really sexual about it with the uncanny valley removed from the middle of her butt. And this is why we have to have people in games who can kind of remain calm, don't panic, and look at these things from an objective perspective, because a lot of things, people react to things. In this case, I think the person was reacting to the fact that was an atomic wedgie from hell and looked super uncomfortable. But instead of saying that looks uncomfortable, that looks impractical, they said that looks too sexual and went for sort of a think of the children thing. And I don't see anything especially sexual about this. I think it looks about as sexy as watching a skateboarder slip when doing a rail grind and, land like he's riding a Quidditch broom. And so I don't know who thinks that's sexy. But the problem is the minute we see something amiss with a female character, we go to sexy. And it's not always that. And the problem is the fact that we keep going there means we can't have rational, adult, reasoned conversations about these things. And I mean, if you look at her pants on the side, that looks like a cutout detail. Pretty sexy. Let's face it, this character is not, a shrinking violet. There's more to sexy than body parts, guys. And I know I'm preaching the choir on this one. I know you guys get this. But for the people who might be new, or the people you pass this on to, or the people that, watch to hate on me, fine. There's more to sexy than a woman's body. And I mean, with that hair and the sort of implanted gunners it looks like she has, let's face it, practically every character designed for video games outside of survival horror is designed to be sexy in some way. Even sort of the deliberately pug-ugly Gears of War characters are sexy in their own way, right? Like, what's wrong with sexy? There's nothing wrong with sexy. The problem with this outfit is it looks uncomfortable. And I don't think you have to redo the pose. I think Blizzard has to go back and redo the outfit, because the reality is that if pants are either showing that butt crack or riding up in the butt that way, there's something wrong. And if a strap is poking in on that angle in that place, this is the sort of thing that Morton Solus would describe as chafing in Mass Effect. This is a problem. But the problem is not the pose. And I think it's very important to get this stuff right. Because if we get this stuff wrong, developers who are not experts in gender theory, they are not experts in, depictions of sexuality. They're game nerds. And they see this stuff and they take the wrong messages from it. And I'm afraid that developers are getting the idea that you can't ever show a woman being sexy unless that's all she's about. And this is the second half of this thing that I kind of went, hold up, what? There's another character in the game called Widowmaker, right? And here she is. She's clearly pretty sexy. But the message that's being sent here is that a character can't have, or a woman can't have moments where they are sexy and then decide other times they don't want to be sexy. And guess what? That is the reality of what most women want. We want times where we can be seen that way, when it's fun to be seen that way, and then other times we want to just be seen as people and take that out of the equation. And it's really not fair that a woman has to decide to be sexy all the time or sexy none of the time. And unfortunately, the well-meaning people who have knee-jerk reactions to these things are pushing us towards that paradigm. Either a woman is defined by her sexuality or she must constantly deny her sexuality. And that is unhealthy. That is an unhealthy message to send to young women. That is an unhealthy message to send to mature women. And that is an unhealthy message to send to men. I mean, what does that say to guys, ladies, when you see a woman who happens to have, an unfortunate slip in the posterior area and she hasn't had a chance to sort of correct the wedginess, and you automatically say, that's sexual, it's inappropriate because she's not sexual any other time. That's very restricting. That's precisely the kind of stuff that I would think we'd be trying to get away from. And that's why I did this video, and yeah, it's shorter than normal, but I think this one's sort of self-explanatory. I think the images sort of do do the talking for me. When you remove the clear distraction, meaning, you know, the I'm trying to think of another it looks like a Tremors worm bored down the middle of her butt. But you know, once you remove that, there's nothing wrong with the pose. And gender theory is kind of like sniping. If it's not a dead-on hit, it's a miss. And it takes a really long time to reload because it's messy and you just alerted everybody to your presence and it's you know, not a clean headshot. So that's my thought on this. I hope it provided more nuance than anybody else I've seen discussing this on the internet. And if anybody from Blizzard is potentially watching this, probably not, because Blizzard blackballed me years ago when I did a thing on the potential for ganking in World of Warcraft. But if they are happening to watch this and they give a damn, guys, there's nothing wrong with the pose. The problem is she's wearing pants that are riding up her butt and her leather strap that is making her smile at you twice. That's the issue. Fix the costume, not the pose. There is nothing inherently wrong with the pose. Okay? Okay.